Where's your willpower? Where's your respect? I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought this was really meh. Probably one of the best TV shows I've watched in a long time. He wanted this book to just hurry up and finish. The slump was slumping. Absolute trash. I wanted him to get to the point. I'm getting a little shady in this video. Or welcome if you're new. As you can tell from today's title, I'm going to be doing my April and May reading wrap-up video. Why am I doing the two in one video? Well, I've been in the slumpiest of slumps. I've really fallen out of love with reading the last 2 months. Haven't really been making much time for it. I haven't been enjoying any of the books that I've been picking up. I mean, I'd say I've probably been in a real bad slump in May rather than April. But I think April contributed to the slump just because of a lot of the books I was given ratings. I just wasn't agreeing with the books I was choosing. Yeah, so I just decided to combine April and May into today's video. And also I wanted to include TV shows because I did mention that in my March wrap up. Instead of reading, I have been watching a lot of TV shows as well. So yeah, get cozy, get comfortable. I've got my tea here. Grab yourself a tea, a coffee, a hot chocolate, a wine, a beer, a cocktail, anything. Get your snacks, crisps, nuts, mango chunks, I don't know, whatever you want to eat or whatever. Yeah, so I'm just going to go through all of the books. In total for April and May, I read 7 books. I've got 8 to talk about. It's one I did DNF. For April, I read 5 books, and in May I only read 2, and I decided to cut May short just because I just want to have a little bit of a break from reading. I don't want to force myself to read, and even though there are tons of books I want to read, but it really scared me when I had that kind of feeling of like I've fallen out of love with reading. I don't want to scar myself too much, so I want to give myself a little bit of a break just so I can come back to reading and feel a bit refreshed. Yeah, just be really happy and raring to go to read again. So anyways, without further ado, I'm gonna cast my mind back to April. I have written some notes down just for like some cues, just to rejig my memory. But anyways, yes, right, I'm gonna get on with it now. Okay, so going back to my April vlog, my reading vlog, the first book I read in April was Weird F's by Lynn Tillman, and I gave this 2 stars out of 5. So this is where it kind of began. I did kind of touch on this in my reading vlog if you want to go and watch it. Obviously I'll share my thoughts now. So Weird F's follows a young woman who follows her journey through New York and some countries in Europe where she is, you know, follows her series of one-night stands and love affairs over the years and decades, I want to say. We find her in very bizarre and unusual situations. So from that alone, that's why I picked this up. I have to say that's a really, I don't know, Nathan from Nathan's Nook actually made a really good point and said, I think because it's like based in the 70s, maybe, I can't exactly remember what he said, but he said something like, because it's like set in the 70s, maybe for that time it was very unusual. So I definitely agree with him on that front. When I read it in my vlog, I explained that I just didn't feel like it was unusual at all. I felt like it was just a normal woman who just is sleeping with men, just, you know, very normal. It feels like so long ago. I've read this now, I've kind of erased it from my memory and I can't really remember it, to be honest. Yeah, I gave it like 1 star for the cover and 1 star for like the writing, but apart from that, 2 is the most that I would probably give it. I probably will be getting rid of this and decluttering it, so, or giving it to a friend or whatever if they want to read it. But yeah, so awful start, but yeah, 2 stars. Next up is Push by SAPPHIRE, and again this was featured in my reading vlog, and if you watch that one, you know I did not gel with this one. This one I really had to DNF it. I think I got up to I finished chapter 2 and it was just too much for me. So if you don't know what this is about, so this is about a story about Precious Jones. She's an illiterate teenager who gets kicked out from her normal school as the teachers find out that she's pregnant the 2nd time from her father. So you can imagine what this is all about. I don't know if I can even say this. I don't know if I'm going to get demonetized, but schminschmest and schmiedophilia and all that, and it's just an absolutely horrific story. I think what I didn't like about this is it was so detailed, the flashbacks she was having. Yeah, I don't want to really say it, but it was awful. It was incredibly disturbing and heavy, just like, yeah, the recounts with her father. And I almost felt it was kind of glorifying that sort of schminophilia, should we say. Yeah, this was the first time I experienced being incredibly uncomfortable with a book. I remember a few months back when I said about, you know, oh, like being all big-headed, like, oh, I don't check the triggers. And like, I need to check myself, Nicole, because yeah, I should have checked the triggers, because this was really bad. I commend people who have read this and have the stomach to read this. But yeah, it also had loads of slurs to do with race and sexuality and disability, so it's so offensive. As I said, this explores themes of sexual abuse from both parents, incest, disability, poverty, trauma, depression. It's really, really sad. It's heartbreaking. It's horrible what Precious goes through, and I literally wish I could just take her out of this situation myself and help her, because what this character goes through, I wouldn't wish on anybody at all. It's just so awful and just so unfair. Apart from like the bad things, I thought it was written pretty well. It had, you know, many pockets of inspiration. Despite the protagonist being beaten down, she was still really determined. You'd have to have a really strong stomach to finish this book. This really messed with my mind. Just make sure you're in a good place if you ever want to read it. But to be honest with you, I really don't recommend it. I know it's sad, because I don't want to say that about an author, because they've put a lot of hard work to make a book, but I just don't know if anyone would want to read that. It's just very, very intense and disturbing, unfortunately, and yeah, I just couldn't finish it. So yeah, lightening the mood a little bit, the next book I read was Happy Place by Emily Henry, because I needed that fluff. I needed something comfortable and comforting, and yeah, this really did it for me, and I gave this 4.5 stars. I really loved this book, and it was just what I needed. Basically, this is about Harry and Wynne, who they're the perfect couple, and they've been with each other for about 10 years. They met at college, I think. Their friendship group goes on an annual trip to like a beach house or whatever that one of the parents owns, and every year they enjoy this trip, and it gives them time to spend with their college friends. But yeah, the annual trip comes around, but they've been broken up for 6 months and no one else in their friendship circle knows. So they kind of, in order to protect the trip, they kind of fake date and continue that they're in this relationship, just to try and, you know, keep the peace. And yeah, obviously other things happen. So yeah, I really love this book. I'm stuck between giving it 4.5 and a 5 star. I mean, yeah, I really loved it. This was the second Emily Henry book I've read, and it, yeah, did not disappoint. I loved the closeness of the friendships and the themes that Emily Henry explored in this book, such as imposter syndrome, mental health, grief, self-growth, like sort of coming of age as well, as she went back to the university days. The friendship that in this book is just, unlike, I loved it so much. As I said in my reading vlog, that I actually got a little bit emotional reading this, because it really reminded me of my uni friends, and just that absolute closeness, that bond that you develop with people that you go to uni with and live with. Like, these guys know everything about you, even though we're all not very close anymore, and we all don't live, we live so many miles apart, but we do have that bondness that we share. She really did write that really well. And I really felt like I was part of their friendship group. I don't know how Emily Henry does it, but she really does have that ability to just place you right in the heart of the story. I love the banter, of course, the humour, the love shown between the family and the friends and Harriet and Wynne. Yeah, it was amazing. You know, Book Lovers is still my favourite book of all time from Emily Henry, albeit, you know, I haven't read many books from her, but I do have Funny Story, which I think I might read next month potentially. I really love this book. It was a comforting read for me, and I really did enjoy it. So yeah, this was probably the best one out of the bunch of the reading wrap up, I think, apart from one other one, I think. So yeah, really enjoy it, highly recommend it. Okay, so next up we've got Ghost by Dolly Alderton. I'm really confused on this rating. I'm kind of sat between like 2.5 and 3 stars, so 2.75. I wanted to read this because I really adore everything I know about love, and I really wanted to read a fictional book from her. So I heard Ghost was good, so I picked this up. So in this novel we follow Anina Dean, who's a 30-something successful food writer. She's just come out of a long-term relationship, and she's kind of navigating the dating world, trying online dating for the first time, but then she's also trying to navigate her father's deterioration deteriorating health. As the title states, it deals with forms of ghosting, so you know, from dating apps to her father's health and things in between that. I really wanted to love this book because I love the writing, I love the banter and things like that. This fell a little bit flat for me, I can't lie. I was a little bit disappointed in this. First of all, I didn't like the main protagonist, Nina. I thought she was quite, I don't know if it's a Dolly Alderton thing, but I think obviously I've only read Everything I Know About Love and I had to mark that one down a little bit because it, I don't know how to say this, but it came across a bit like a little bit bratty and a bit like very privileged. Like I'm not marking her down for being privileged, but it's like I expect someone who is privileged to acknowledge their privilege. This character was almost a little bit similar as well. Yeah, so I didn't like the main protagonist, Nina. I didn't like her close friend, Catherine. I think they sounded like a bunch of 12-year-olds, if I'm honest with you, and how they were talking about dating and the rules and not texting back and things like that. I just thought, you're in your 30s, like, if you're gonna text a guy back, just text him back. Like, what's the point of the games? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I just thought they were a little bit immature and I just didn't really gel with that. Also, going back to what I said, I feel like Dolly Alderton only knows how to write like privileged, from a privileged white woman's perspective. I don't know if I'm being really rude saying that, but I kind of wish there was a little bit of, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Diversity, like in her characters and stuff. Like everybody in this book was like, from like a very like, you know what I mean? Like there was no one from different backgrounds, like different class backgrounds, you know? So yeah, it just kind of, it was a bit annoying. However, I'm still very open to Dolly Alderton and I would still like to read good material as it's from a guy's perspective. So let me know if you think I would enjoy that. Again, is he like a really rich, privileged guy? I mean, I probably still will read it. Yeah, let me know anyway without any spoilers too much. Also, I said this book was just so random. This is going to be a spoiler, so if you haven't read this book, skip. I'll put a time to where you can skip. The bit in the kitchen with her downstairs neighbour, what was that? I was like, how did we get here? How did we get here? And also, again, this is another spoiler. I'm shouting spoiler because I don't want to hear in the comments like, why have you ruined it? This is a spoiler, so please skip. When obviously with Max, the one that ghosts her, why did she take him back so easily? I was so disappointed. I was like, where's your willpower? Where's your respect? She just laid it out for him after he'd ghosted her for like 2 months or so many months. He was so horrible and she just laid it out. You know what I'm saying? Laid it out. Yeah, I was just like, no, I can't. Yeah, so overall, a bit of a disappointing read. Quite funny in places, but I've, to be honest, it was the start of the slump, this one. I think Weird F's kind of pushed me into the slump and this was like, oh yeah, you're going into the slump now. I really wanted to finish this book, so yeah, 2.75. So the next book is a thriller, because I've heard when you're in a slump, it's best to read a fast-paced thriller, and I always find thrillers do get me excited and they get me out of a slump. I wish that was true. Right, next one was Someone You Trust by Rachel Ryan, and I gave this 3 stars. This was kindly gifted to me from Little Brown as well. So this is a mystery thriller set in the beautiful Irish countryside. We follow Amy, who she takes up a job as a nanny and housekeeper to escape the city for an affluent, and she works for an affluent family. As she starts working for this family, she starts to notice strange things are starting to happen in this like once idyllic town. Soon she realizes that she's in a lot more danger. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought this was really meh. It was quite short, it was really easy to read. The pacing was very slow for a thriller. It gave me bits. The chapters were good and short and kept me a little bit engaged, but I wanted more, you know, I wanted more. But the ending was really disappointing. I predicted the ending kind of like halfway through or maybe even the beginning. I just didn't find it suspenseful at all. It was okay. I wouldn't really recommend it, sorry. But yeah, it was okay. It was fine. It was, yeah. It was all right. So yeah, 3 stars. So next up is My Belly by Hilde OSTBY. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing this correctly. So this was kindly gifted to me from Greystone Books. This was a memoir from a writer, Hilde, feminist portrait and collection of essays on her obsession basically with her belly, so body image, and the cultural social norms that feed into that obsession. It also explores and it touches on philosophy, neurology, sociology, literature, popular culture, as well as her own own like dark truths. As I said in my old video, I really like sociology and things like that, and why things are how they are in society, why we think certain ways, why we do certain things, how we're perceived as women. I find that really interesting. Really excited to read this, as I said, as I love reading about topics of like body image within the media and society, and like also studying, reading different theories like normal, female gaze, things like that. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I gave this 2 stars. I don't know if I said that, but this just didn't do it for me at all. I really wanted this book to just hurry up and finish. It was a bit of a chore to pick it up. I mean, it comforted me and made me feel less alone in like my body hang-ups, because, you know, we can all be confident but we still get hang-ups, you know. And I'd say from like my teenage years, I've always kind of been a little bit insecure about my body image and weight and things like that. This didn't really teach me anything. I would say it didn't teach me anything new. It wasn't groundbreaking, it wasn't thought-provoking enough. It was well researched, but again, like I said, it wasn't anything new that I didn't know. But yeah, I don't know if it was anything to do with my mood or just like around like the time of the month for me, because that can also affect how much I really enjoy reading and just like focusing and things like that. But yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it, to be honest. So TV, I watched a couple of shows. So the first one I watched was All Quiet on Set by Discovery, and that was just, oh my gosh. So I was a big TV girl. Our whole family will, you know, sit around and watch TV, Nickelodeon, Disney, all that stuff. Loved all like, oh my gosh, I loved, you know, the Amanda Show, Keenan and Kel, Brothers Garcia. Does anyone remember that? I used to love that show. Taina as well. I loved Taina. What's the other one? Just Jordan, I think. Tucker. So many shows. But yeah, anyway, I think the Amanda Show is like, the Amanda Show and Keenan and Kel were like the best ones. So anyways, this documentary ruined my childhood. It absolutely ruined and annihilated my childhood. Oh, and I also watched iCarly, but I think I got a bit too old for that, but I still watched it. If you don't know what this is about, I'm sure you would do, because this was literally everywhere. But so this is a docu-series that uncovers the toxic culture about the most iconic TV shows, like I said, on Nickelodeon, like the Amanda Show, Keenan and Kel, all that. Drake and Josh, that's another show I really adored and watched. This was very dark, very harrowing, very upsetting to watch in certain places. It was really, I just really felt for the kids on those sets. I felt for the parents. I can't believe that their kids were left in such a vulnerable position with certain members of the teams that were schmedophiles. Horrendous, absolutely awful. I think I know the show has come under a little bit of scrutiny from some people. One of the actors that was on the show, she came out and said that she was like saying stuff about it, but I haven't watched the 5th episode yet. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if it's worth it. But, and you know, what happened to Drake Bell was horrendous. Just all of it. And Dan Schneider, all those people are just evil, horrible people. Yeah, awful. So, but in terms of the documentary, I thought it was really good. The people that they interviewed, I thought that was really interesting. So I watched that. I also watched Scoop, that was on Netflix. I'm not really rating these shows, by the way. I mean, I guess I can. All Quiet on Set, I think I'd give it a 4 stars. Scoop, Netflix, I think I gave it a 4 stars as well. Yeah, so it's from the infamous Newsnight appearance interview from Prince Andrew back in the day. This was from the perspective of the producer, Sam McAllister. Yeah, I thought this was really interesting to watch it from her perspective, and also the journalist and newsreader, is her name, Emily Maitlis, is it? I really liked it. I really liked Scoop. I thought it was really good. I thought it was so interesting. It kept me engaged. Yeah, highly recommend it. You've probably already watched it by now because it came out, you know, back in April. But yeah, really thought it was good. Yeah, thought it was really good. And I loved that Adam from Sex Education was in it as well. He was the photographer, the pap. But yeah, thought it was really good. I thought it was produced really well. I thought the acting was really good. Thought it was good. Really liked it. Next, I watched, this is whilst I was taking my braids out. I just like to, sometimes when I'm taking my braids out, I like to just stick like a series on, just so I can like go through it and watch it. So I was just kind of scrolling Netflix, seeing what was on there, and I found a series, an old ITV series called Cleaning Up, and I actually gave this a 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. So this is about an after hours cleaner who cleans like the offices in like corporate London, and yeah, she's really like going through it. She's in a lot of debt and she's got like addiction problems, and basically she finds like some guy is like trading insider not broker stuff, some like insider trading stuff, and she manages to get a hold of that. And anyway, yeah, that kind of, she decides to like play the market in a sense. I put here some from corrupted finance bro, and then yeah, things just really start to like escalate. It's like really fast paced, high stakes, so bingeable. I watched all 6 episodes in one sitting. As I said, I was taking my braids out. It was really good. I wasn't expecting much, as it's, you know, it's an ITV show, and I thought, oh, you know, it might be a bit pants, but I actually really enjoyed it. Yeah, and I highly recommend it. I thought it was really good. And then this one I DNF'd, so it was Unlocked, a Gel Experiment. I thought this was had a really interesting concept, but I just kind of gave up on it. So it wasn't really gripping me. This show is a Netflix show, and it's set in a prison in Arkansas. I want to say Arkansas, but I know it's Arkansas. And it's a social experiment takes place. So basically it's in one of those prisons where like they're locked down 23 hours a day. They're in their cells. It's an experiment where they unlock the doors and they're literally living free amongst themselves. There's no guards, there's nothing. And yeah, I just wanted to see how the prisoners sort of navigate it. I stopped watching it where I think one of the guys started to try and like put himself like try and like create like a hierarchy and create rules and stuff. So I thought that was quite interesting to see like that kind of social experiment, but I gave up after that because it was just dragging a little bit and I thought it was a bit boring. But if you've watched it, let me know if it was good. So yeah, that is April in a nutshell. So we will move on to May. Okay, so as I said earlier in the video, I only read 2 books in May, but you know what, that's not that bad. Okay, it's not that bad. I think 2 books is still good. The first book I read and finished was After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think I featured this in my last video, my last vlog, Spend the Day With Me. Yeah, I gave this a 2.5 stars. So in May, the slump was slumping. I was in Slump Town on the train to Slump Town Express. Like, it was bad. Like, I was fully in the slump. I mean, even though I gave it a low rating, it's still not gonna deter me away from reading Taylor Jenkins Reid. Obviously I really enjoyed Daisy Jones and the Six, and I still want to read, Carrie Soto Is Back and Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and all of her other novels that she's got. This is about a couple, Lauren and Ryan, who they met in college, they fall in love, they get married, and then, you know, they expect it's happily ever after, right? But no, wrong. So many years into their marriage, they find themselves just really stuck in a rut, and basically they decide to take a year's break from each other. No contact, nothing. They each get their own places, and I guess kind of act like they're separated. This was a really easy read, but I didn't enjoy it. It was really predictable. The characters had no depth and they lacked a lot of description. Like, even just now thinking back, I don't even know what they looked like. I think the male character might have been blonde. I don't even know. I don't even remember what they looked like. I thought that was really disappointing. I also thought Ryan, the male character, was really immature. Basically they just needed counselling. They didn't need to separate for a year, but that's just my 2 cents. Yeah, I also thought he was not someone I'd put on the book boyfriends or book husband list anyway. Let's just say that. Yeah, as I said earlier, this hasn't turned me away from Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm still very interested to read her. I just think, so as Simon from Savage Reads put it very bluntly, I think there's a reason why people don't talk about her earlier books. So moving on to the next and final book I read in May. Yeah, this was the reason why I was in the slump. Look at this thick bad boy. So I finished Wellness by Nathan Hill, but even though this put me deep in the slump, this was like Slump Mountain, I gave this a 4 to 4.5 stars. I actually really did enjoy this book. So I've written many notes on this, so I hope you don't mind. I'm probably going to look down a little bit whilst I read. I said this is an incredibly cynical and satirical novel about so many themes: the wellness industry, gentrification, wealth, social media algorithms, the power of placebos, how things may not be all what it seems, and more importantly, a fascinating portrait of marriage. Kind of weird that in May I read both both books about marriage. So yeah, basically we follow Jack and Elizabeth from their college years right through to their 40s. So it spans over like 20 years, and like they move out into the suburbs of Chicago, and we watch how their lives evolve and develop from young ambitious students living in the heart of the city in Chicago, being rebels and sticking it to the man and just being so like anti-capitalist and stuff like that. So, and then kind of we fast forward 20 years to like fully functioning adults with so many character flaws and yeah, just so many things wrong, but I don't want to give too much away. So just my thoughts. I thought this was an outstanding novel, written really well. This is my first book from Nathan Hill. I know the Knicks is quite popular as well, and I think I want to read that one, but I'm going to brace myself because I know that one's a thick, chunky one as well. Oh yeah, someone in the comments told me that Nathan Hill was like their lecturer, and I was like, that makes sense because it's so like academic, the writing, like so academic. And one of the main characters, Elizabeth, she is very, very clever, very smart, comes from a very academic, very bright, and her tone is written like that. Whereas Jack, the husband, the main character, he's an artiste. He's very creative, you know, he's able to see things from a different perspective and things like that, and that's how his tone is written, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I thought it was a very, very powerful book. Great portrayal of the trials and tribulations of marriage, even though I wouldn't really know that because I've only been married for 9 months, but you know. But I liked how he explored like conspiracy theories and like just all the BS about like the wellness industry. This really covers grief and loss really well. I wish I'd tabbed it. There was a bit, I won't say, but some beautiful words in here about grief, and it actually made me shed a tear because, as you probably know, like since having long COVID, I've been really going through a real big period of grief, and it's very isolating and lonely, and it's written really well in this. And you've got like generational trauma, a bit of family saga in here. So this book evokes so many different emotions. I said it was witty, it was well researched. There was even a bibliography right at the back, so it's definitely really well researched, poignant, and it also left me questioning. It provoked my thoughts, and so I thought that's when I know this book is really special and something to really recommend. So I definitely will be giving the Knicks a go, but it will be a way down later because this did put me in a slump because I do have some negatives. It was so lengthy. Some chapters were so jarring and just like, I wanted him to get to the point, but in a way it was quite beautiful because you would read the chapter, you'd be like, what the hell has this got to do with anything? And then you get to the end of the chapter, you'd be like, oh, so that's why that and that. Oh, I loved that. I absolutely loved that. So yeah, it was like, I got the big dopamine hit when I finished this. I was so ecstatic and excited because I was going to DNF this book, but I thought, let me give it a go because I'm really enjoying it. It was nothing that I've read before, and I'm so glad I pushed myself to finish and reading it. Yeah, really good. I thought it was tremendous. But yeah, that's why I couldn't give it 5 stars, because I did zone out a little bit in some places. I thought it did drag, and it was a bit of a chore to pick it up. It took me almost the whole month of May to finish it. I think that's fine. It is like 600-page book, and I don't read very fast, or I don't, do you know what I mean? I don't read in like really long sittings, so I think that's pretty good for me. So yeah, overall, this and Happy Place were probably the best books I read over the last 2 months, but that's not good. So hopefully, as I've got quite a few books on my TBR that I'm like so ready to read, but I'm just gonna give the rest of May a couple of days just to like clear my mind and yeah, just like chill for a little bit and then crack on with reading some good books. So next we've got TV shows in May, and I'm sure you know what I'm gonna say. The next 2 words are gonna come out my mouth. Baby Reindeer. Everyone's talking about it. I know. I watched this because I really don't like to buy into the hype, shall we say. I hate it so much, like when things are hyped up. But yeah, I was sucked in. I was like, let me just see what everyone's talking about. Oh, wow. Yeah, this was phenomenal. Probably one of the best TV shows I've watched in a long time. Love the storytelling of this. I loved that the actual person who was going through this, you know, created it, written it, and starred as himself. Like that takes guts, given the nature of the scenes he had to do. Yeah, commend. I'm sure you all know what it's about, but long story short, it's basically this show is about a man. He's dealing with a female stalker and he's forced to face like a dark buried trauma, but it's based on a real life story, and I thought it was mind-blowing. When I say it was a beautifully shot with some incredible performances, especially from the main character Donnie and Martha. They were outstanding, very good acting. It's full of twists and turns, some completely unexpected and harrowing scenes, and just straight up vulnerability from our protagonist. It was refreshing to see a vulnerable male and how he navigated and coped with his trauma. I felt every single human emotion whilst watching this. Very, very dark in some places, and very, very unsettling. So do check the triggers if you're sensitive to some dark themes in the show. But yeah, commend it. It was amazing. 5 stars. Next I watched was Ashley Madison's Sex, Lies and Scandals, and I remember when this actually came out, like the actual hacking thing came out. This is about the hacking scandal of the morally wrong website Ashley Madison, which if you don't know what Ashley Madison is, it's a dating website for married people. They can meet other married people and have affairs, hook up, all that stuff. So awful. And the tagline is "Life is short, have an affair." Trash, absolute trash. Yes, I do remember seeing it in the news that someone had hacked, basically, yes, long story short, someone hacked the website because like their security wasn't very good. They had like millions of people join this website, millions. Yeah, someone hacked the website and released all the data from all the people that were joined, and yeah, all these horrible slimy people. I mean, I shouldn't say slimy, because if you have an open marriage, then fair enough, you can do what you want. But all the people that were hiding it from their partners, they're slimy, in my opinion. Yeah, that all got released, and yeah, it was just crazy. Can we talk about Sam and Nia? Because I'm getting a little shady in this video. The whole Sam and Nia storyline, they're on YouTube. So because I had to go and Google and see, are they still, because they're YouTubers, and basically he got caught on, well, not got caught, his name was popped up on there. I just you know what, we're gonna move on. So the next thing I watched was There's Something, oh, it's not actually called this, but it's based on the TV show There's Something About Miriam. It's a Channel 4 documentary, a really fantastic, riveting documentary produced from Channel 4 about the show, the reality TV show, a dating show, There's Something About Miriam, which was on Sky One back in 2001, I think. The show is about Miriam, beautiful Miriam, who's a trans woman, and basically the men who were going onto the dating show they were dating her on the show, but in the end it revealed that they were dating a trans woman. Basically the documentary is about, you know, how it was unethical and just how awful she was treated, and it was just really good documentary. I actually listened to a documentary about it from Wondery, which was produced, that was a couple of years back. I listened to that, which was fantastic. Highly recommend that documentary. But this one was good because they interviewed her family and the contestants, a few of the contestants on the show as well, and some of the producers from the show. Yeah, it was really good. Really highly recommend it. Yeah, overall it's just incredibly sad and awful, and yeah, she just needed justice. Yeah, anyway, I'm not gonna go there. Oh, and I gave that 4 stars, thought that was really good. And finally, you're gonna be thinking, what? But I watched Forrest Gump, the film, and I've watched Forrest Gump so many times, but I've never actually watched it all the way through. I've always watched it about halfway through, where it gets to the bit where they're in Vietnam, and I've always turned it off and I've always just stopped watching it there. But I've watched it all the way through, and oh my gosh, loved it so much. I knew it was a sad ending. I knew what happens in the end, but it was, oh my gosh, I loved it so much. It was, yeah, amazing. Tom Hanks is just that wholesome blockbusters American dad, just amazing actor, and yeah, such a heartwarming yet emotional story, you know, of like courage and inspiration, and just, yeah, amazing. I love that film. I think it's definitely going to be a favorite of mine. That is it. such a long video, I know, but yeah, that is my wrap up for April and May. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Have I been too harsh? I think I've been a little bit sassy today, but I've just decided to let rip. I don't know, I'm hoping that the slump is going to lift with the reading break. Yeah, I do have some books that I'm really excited to read, but yeah, I'm just gonna not be too harsh on myself to, you know, the 5-star will come eventually, but I think I just need a little bit of a break from reading, or I just need to think very carefully what books I want to read. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for getting this far and watching this through. If you got this far, you're a real one. Yeah, I will speak to you guys in the next video.